I've got a degree in engineering physics from McMaster University from Canada. Two of the toys I first worked on were RoboPet, which is a robot dog, and then RoboPanda, which is the panda bear right there. One of our first products that we did in 2010 was Skitterbot. Skitterbot is a bug on the left here. You can see it. Then TrekBot was the one after that, the one on the right. So I'm just going to give you an idea of what Skitterbot does. It's a smaller robot bug, which is right here. And it does about 1 foot per second when it runs. I'll play with the toy so you can see it. Okay. That's Skitterbot. It's a robot bug. It's rechargeable through USB. Has an onboard lithium battery, 2 motors, 6 legs. And it runs about 1 foot per second. The next toy we did was called TrekBot, which is a wheeled vehicle, which is right here, which you can see drives around, does flips and headstands, just like that. So these are our first 2 products we did in 2010. Now going forward, I'm going to show you how we took a product from concept, sketches, all the way into production. Taking a product from concept into production, what we did at first was look at design reference. If you look at the top left, you'll see a smart car, which is something that GM's been working on for a few years, trying to get a smart car concept. You see a little robot there, which has personality to it. You see a little tank at the bottom. Here's the first initial sketches we did of making the product. What we got back from our first design was something that looked like this from the factory. So we took this design, brought it to the factory, and it looked like a little robot tank, had USB in the background, which flips down to recharge it. And in my opinion, it doesn't look very good. It's functional, but it doesn't have the aesthetics. So this is some of the reference we had. Here's a robot tank, which we wanted to do is we wanted to drive over things, want to have tracked vehicle action. Okay, this one's very small, but we made ours a little bit bigger. But this is just some idea of the beginning of what the toy, the ideas where they came from. The next thing was we wanted something that avoids obstacles. So what you see here is a video of obstacle avoidance using infrared navigation. So what happens is when the toy sees a wall, it doesn't hit the wall. It'll just keep a distance from the wall and avoid obstacles. The next thing was we wanted something that can navigate through a maze. So what you see here is a simple maze. You see the vehicle navigating through the maze, and it doesn't hit the walls. So these are some of the features we wanted to put into our product. Going forward, we then took all these features and started building our first prototype. So you can see here the first prototype. It's a tracked vehicle base. You can see the battery on there. It's got a speaker on top. It also has, it doesn't look good, but it's to prove the functionality of the toy. Here's a working model of the product. So you can see this toy right here as it's driving around. So for the first time, the product's alive. So right now, it's taken us about 2 months now to get to this stage where we've got something that's moving around. So here you see the first product, the sample, with obstacle avoidance. When you put your hand in front of it, it now takes the functions of obstacle avoidance, and it drives around and autonomously navigates, so hitting into objects. Then we put in some features of maze navigation. So right here you can see the product going through a simple maze, navigating by itself, and again, it doesn't bump into walls. So you can kind of see the product evolving as it comes along from the initial concept, the design reference, into software development, mechanical development, and here's how we progress. The next step is we got to make it look good. So what we've done right here is we got some concept design, some concept sketches of the first Tankbot that we put into production. So the first Tankbot, the top left, is the design we selected to go forward with as a product. The other designs, the one at the bottom right looks like a smart car. We thought it wasn't going to be very appealing to people. So it seemed like the one at the top left was the best. We then went forward and we did 3D renders of all these different toys because you want to see how it looks like in 3D to get an idea of the dimensions of it before you go into production with it. So we finally decided to select the one on the top left, which is the Tankbot. You get 3D CAD files on the side there. Then we got to make the engineering match the design because a lot of times designers will make something beautiful, but you may not necessarily be able to make it work properly. So what we did is we put the gear base underneath, the mechanical platform, the design, and then started drawing the 3D to make the aesthetics match the engineering. So you can see here the beginnings of the scaling of the design to match the engineering such that we can get something that looks nice and hopefully works well too. After that, I'm sure everybody's familiar with electronics. We got to get a circuit board in there, do electronic design, the schematics, in order to make the toy have some kind of functionality, put a processor onto it, put some software into it. So this is the PCB that's used inside the Tankbot, and you can see the schematic design on the right. What we do after that is we come up with what's called a tooling check model. So we take the design we have, we take the software, we take all the different components, put them together, and we make a final CNC, which is, anybody know what CNC is? Silence? What's CNC? So a CNC takes a computer design file into okay, so we basically got halfway there, but since we got halfway there, you get a prize, and you're the first one. So here we go. You're the lucky recipient of a Skitterbot. There you go. Congratulations. Okay, so pay attention, guys. I may ask questions at any time. Okay, so now we have a tooling check model. So we CNC the body shells. We take the computer design, the 3D model. We CNC it to make a physical shape using a computer-controlled machine to do the round thing like this. Okay, so now this is what the first model looks like. After that, what we do is what's called a tooling plan, which means in order to make the injection molds, you have to figure out where each part's going to go from the toy. You have to put the toy down to its most basic elements and to put them into the actual physical molds that'll make the parts in injection molding. So over here you see some of the injection molding that we were using. On the left are the copper parts that are the negatives used to make the master in the mold. Some of the shells that... Hello? On the right, you'll see some injection molds used to make the Tankbot body. Once we do that, we get what's called our first tool models. It takes about 45 days. Then we make our first tests of the tool. When you do our first injection, what happens is things usually don't fit together. Things don't work very well. In this case here, when the Tankbot wheel turns, I'll just show that again. When the wheel's turning, it doesn't turn the track, which means the track's too loose. We got to tighten things up to make it work properly. Here what you'll see is the first working samples of the tank. So when you listen to them, they're extremely noisy. Okay? Which means they're not quite perfect yet, need to be still refined and changed. So here we have two tanks following each other. Curiosity. Now what we have is called drop test. Drop test is something where we take the toy and we drop it on its head, and then we try to see what breaks on the toy. Because every toy has to pass safety, and a big thing in toy testing is when you drop the toy, it can't smash to bits. For example, if you drop your phone and it falls from this height, it won't break. That's a big thing in product development, is you got that are stable enough that won't fall apart when you drop them on the ground. So you can see right here, the toy being dropped over and over and over to see what parts break, what parts fail. When you look at this picture here, you can see the windows popped out, other defects, the recharger in the back that is opened up. So we have to make corrections to this in order to get the product into production. So we modify the tooling, we specify changes of what needs to get changed, and the physical molds get changed in order to make the product better and make it pass safety. What we have here is we have what's called tool markings. We then put legal writing on the toy, certain things like the CE logo and different kind of certification things which are required legally to make a toy and to be able to ship it. What we did then is we created our first iPhone app. So the neat thing with pets is you can take your iPhone or iPod or iDevice or Android phone. You can then control your desk pet toy with it. We made an adapter that plugs into your phone so you can drive your toy around. Why do we do this? There's a lot of smartphones these days, and we thought we'd do something that would play along with that so that people can use their smartphone and control the toy. So if you go to the website, mydeskpets.com or the App Store, you can download our app and use it to control our toys. So here's the first video of Tankbot with app control. Okay, so you can see an iPhone on the right there. It's another phone, which is the Android one on the left. And basically what we're doing is we're driving a Tankbot around using the iPhone. There's an adapter plugged into the headphone jack, and we're using the audio frequency into infrared conversion to control the toy using infrared. After that, once we've done all this, we've got to pick a color for the toy. What's the color going to be? How are we going to make it look good? So here's some initial ideas that we had. If you look at the color palette on your left, that represents some of the colors we used in the final product. Every season, there's different colors. Every year, different colors are used that are fashionable. Some colors become out of fashion. So what we tried to do is make something that was fashionable, that had the colors for 2011. So we selected gray, orange, blue, and green as the colors we thought we'd go ahead with toys. Once you've done that, you got to do packaging design. So packaging sells the toy. If you don't have nice packaging, people are not going to buy it. They can look at your toy and think, wow, the toy looks good, the packaging doesn't look good, I don't like to buy the toy. So packaging design is very important. So here's some of our toys, how they look like in packaging, which helps to sell the product. You have a bit of writing, but the most important part is consumers want to see the toy itself. They want to see what it looks like. They want to get an idea that, okay, this is what I'm going to buy. Once you've done all that, we have to go into production. Now, in production, we outsource to a factory where we take the injection molds, take our electronics, take all the work we've done, and put into making a product, bring it to production. So right here you can see the top picture is a picture of an assembly line from beginning to end that makes our product. You'll see some pictures on the right there, which is the Tankbot shells. There's people putting stuff together in the middle, and you see green conveyor belt left side, which is the actual production line where people sit and put things together. Then after there's what's called promotion. You got to go to trade shows and show off your product. So the video on the bottom right is our first video of Tankbot at Nuremberg Toy Fair in 2010. Nuremberg Toy Fair, or sorry, 2011. Nuremberg Toy Fair is one of the biggest shows in the world of toys. If you don't have your toys, people are not going to buy from you. If people buy from you, you don't make sales. You got to go out there and promote your toy. Picture of our booth on the left, and the top ones are some of the early starts that we had in 2009 of our products. So you can kind of see how we evolved from a few basic products to having a big wall display like we have on the bottom left. Then you need what's called nice pictures. Pictures helps. So what we did here is we got an agency to take some photos of our products to make the products look good. We put them into different environments, so you see them on the road. My favorite one is the one on the road there. You can see the Tankbots lined up, and it gives you an idea of the size, but it puts them in the real world, so people can get an idea of how the product looks. So we won some awards for toys. We had Best of Toy Fair in 2011 for our Tankbot product. Also featured in Popular Science magazine, amongst other publications, but what's very important is get in the face of people in various publications and magazines. Otherwise, no one's going to know about you, and you're not going to be able to get anywhere with your toys, and you won't make sales, and you won't make money. So here's a video of Tankbot in store, if I can get sound. Here's a picture of me at retail, very happy, finally seeing our product available on the store shelf. Here's a picture of one of our tanks being featured in a magazine in the USA at Radio Shack. Okay, going forward, people are asking me what's new in 2012, so I put in a few slides as to what we're doing in 2012. In 2012, we're making what's called the Carbot. So you kind of see the process, how it all repeats. What you saw there was taking a product from concept to initial engineering to software development, all the way to retail sale, and that's the end of the life of the product at this point. We're done the development. We pick orders. We do production. We sell it to customers. We got to start again to get the whole process going all over again. So here's the car bot that we're doing. You see a design, the initial sketch. Then you see the first 3D models that we're doing from the car. Okay, and then after that, what we do is we do a render, do graphics, and you'll see at the bottom right the first working sample of the car. The top right is the first 3D models. We have some 3D renders to show the customers, and this product will be ready and shipping in 2012. So this is how we basically take a product from start to finish, and that's it, that's all. I'm going to give out one more prize quickly while Sadhana's walking up here. How does the Tankbot navigate? What does it use? What kind of sensors? Infrared. All right, we got a prize. There you go. Congratulations. Okay. What's that? Anybody know how we recharge our toys? Did I talk about that? I can't throw this one because it's going to fall apart. I don't want to hit anybody on the head, but let's try it anyway, all right? Okay, if you have questions, you can ask me later, and that's it. Thank you.
Would you like to ask any questions? Do you have any questions for Mr. Trzecieski?
How do you program this robot? In which language or something like?
We use assembler because it's very fast, it's very efficient. It keeps your memory space low, and the more memory space you use, the more expensive your integrated circuit becomes. So we try to save on cost of the IC, so we use assembler.
The tracks was loose. So what you did? Start afresh, or some mere adjustments?
When we tested the tank, the track was loose. What we do is we then modify the tooling, the molds, and we do some modification of the tools. So after the injection process, the belts will fit. We also change the materials sometimes. So it's a process where you're taking off fractions of a millimeter, little bit by little bit, to make sure it works.
So suppose if there's an obstacle in between, and there are two ways, and if your Tankbot is coming from one way, then how do you make it sure that it doesn't go back on the same way from which it has come? It follows the second way. How do you make it sure?
We don't. Don't tell anybody. Doesn't matter. People still like it.
Sir, do you have plans to increase the speed of your product?
Yes, we do. The car that you see for 2012 will go 3 times faster than the tank does right now.
Thank you.